Hi there. My name is Lars, and I'm a venture partner, one of the founders of the BSH Startup Kitchen. And today it's like a real pleasure for me to be part of the Wolf Summit 2020 and to share our views and experiences on how to make collaborations between corporates and startups work. Very happy to give a keynote that I want to share with you. And today I would like to guide you mainly through three topics or three areas. One of them would be why it actually makes a lot of sense for startups and corporates to work together, where's the big potential. Second, why it typically fails. And then thirdly, what we do at the BSH Startup Kitchen to make collaborations work and create true impact for both sides, but also for us. So I hope you can see my slides. I can see them. Just to start with, let me give you a quick context why I am talking to you and why are we so interested in working with startups. So we are part of BSH Home Appliances group, which you might rather know under the originally full name or meaning of the word, or the abbreviation, which is Bosch Siemens Home Appliances Group. And it's one of the leading home appliance manufacturers with a full range of products across all categories, of course. We've seen in the past that there are many innovations happening outside our original scope. And many of these innovations, of course, we are very happy and capable of developing ourselves. But as our products need to become smarter, connected, more sustainable, more efficient, we also very highly rely on partnering with the right companies. And startups are definitely one of the big sources of innovation for our products as well. So when you think of it, it's kind of like a win-win situation, and where startups and corporates perfectly fit together. On the one hand side, you have corporates like us, and we are looking to get access to the latest technology, work with good external partners. And on the other side, you have startups with great talent, many of them with a lot of funding and budget available to develop solutions and actually seeking to make business with guys like us. And I think that should resonate with many corporates that might be in the audience right now. And it should also resonate with a lot of startups, because that's what you should be looking for, right? Making business with big partners and create revenues. However, that's the theory. From our experience and what we've seen in the past, this rather proves tricky because when you look at it, you see that many of, or actually both sides, corporates and startups, they're equally disappointed when you ask them about how much value can they extract from the partnerships. So that's a recent study done in 2019 from my former colleagues at BCG. So 55% of startups are dissatisfied with projects happening with corporates when they work together, which actually means, if that doesn't work, if you cannot create business, that's really bad. And on the other side, the corporates as well, 45% of them, they're also dissatisfied. You might be wondering, what's the 10% gap in between? I guess this is when maybe still some corporates are screwing the startups over in a project or whatever they do. And that's also what it should be doing. And when we then try to tackle this problem, and we started to do this 2 years ago. We set up BSH Startup Kitchen as an initiative. You can call it Open Innovation Initiative. That is to follow a few certain rules and to overcome the pressing challenges that that are actually leading to this problem. Then, you can wonder what's the big problem, and there are many theories and many papers about it. But I want to keep it super short and simple. Typically, when you think about corporate and startup collaborations, and you look at the technology adoption cycles, which I hope you might know. So you have, when you think about the adoption of a technology or new solution in the market, you have a few innovators or early adopters who are trying out stuff. And then you have like the maturity of the market, that is really like providing the big scale and the big adoption of these solutions, you always have some kind of a gap in between the early adopters and innovators and the real business. And this is also, like, when you look at it, many corporate programs that try to deal with startups, they focus on, I don't know if you can see my mouse here, but when you look at the typical innovation programs, they mainly focus on the early adopters, and they fail to make the bridge to the real business adopters. And that's something we thought we got to change it somehow, and came up with a couple of principles for our startup kitchen, which I hope you see right now. So 4 of them. Number 1, don't do any innovation theater. Do not only work with your, let's say, very futuristic R&D guys. They're very important, but they're not the only ones you should be working with. You should always work on topics that have pure business relevance for you. That's good for you because you can tackle a problem which matters for the company. It's also good for the startup because then they can tap into a project and sell something where they can create an ongoing business relationship. Which leads us to number 2, partnership focused. So it's not about investment in startup. It's not about like taking a stake or whatever you can do with a startup. It's about creating a long-term partnership, bringing startups to, or making them ready to work with you as a company is super important. And that's number 3, fast validation in a proof of concept. You gotta make sure, or you gotta take out the insecurity or the risk out of the collaboration you typically have within a setup where an established corporate and a very emerging startup, when they're working together, they don't know what they're dealing with. That can be on like a personal level, like they don't know each other. You got to get to know each other. Or it's also, and that's most important, on a technical or like a solution level. So does the solution the startup tries to sell me actually work the way I want it to work? And so don't have like ongoing discussions on if it works or not in PowerPoints. Forget about all that. Do a validation in the project, and you'll find out very fast if that works or does not work. And then last but not least, simplified processes. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's something we had to set up and fought very hard to get. But at least for the very initial collaboration, the typical corporate rules and the corporate processes cannot apply. Many of them do not make sense, so you need to have something simple, streamlined in place. Nothing to circumvent like the corporate rules, but it's just like for the first step for POC, be fast, do it, validate it, and then you follow the corporate processes. Startup kitchen, what do we do exactly? What does it look like? What we do, you could call it venture clienting or like a catalyst, like bringing things together that belong together and can form a solid combination and a partnership by making it very simple. And as you can see on the graph here, we see ourselves as being the middleman and the partner or the friend of both our company, our business leaders, and the startup. And you see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very, very simple rule. But most importantly is that you start with number 1. So you always start with a need, start with challenges that really matter for your company. We always actively reach out to our business units, business leaders, innovation leaders to really find the topics they care for. And then the rest is pretty simple. We look for a solution, we do the sourcing, adoption, validation in a project case to form a long-term relationship. Just for illustration, but I will not explain that in detail, I brought along kind of like an example that we did. So it's a really streamlined process. And that's also the thing. If you're in a corporate, people love to have processes, but they can also work with it. And here we were looking for a solution for a challenge to have a better online customer self-help solution on our websites. And we're not disclosing the name of the startup here due to confidentiality reasons. But it's kind of like a showcase how it really works. You start with again, from the very left on the discovery phase with a need, with a business owner who's looking for something. And then our job is, and what we do, guide these colleagues through the process on finding the best partner that can tackle their solution, help them to evaluate the solution, make them on paper, of course, like to select the startup for a pilot, and then help them do the pilot, validate them the solution fitting to the criteria they care about. And sounds pretty simple when you think of it. But as I was promising, last but not least, and maybe that's something you can apply to many other corporate initiatives, not only to a venture client unit like us. We collected a couple of best practices or rules that we apply in what we're doing. So number one would be its strategy first, and the role of any innovation initiative within the company should always be focused about helping the company to become better. If you only work for yourselves, you're doing the wrong thing. So we see ourselves as being a service agent, a service unit for everyone within the company to help the company to be better, to enable the strategy that we're all following. Second, pretty much is kind of like following from number one. It's always good, and you hear that all the time, and I'm tired of hearing it, that you need a mandate to do stuff and drive an initiative, which is good. But it's not enough if you have a mandate and you can force people to work with you. People need to love working with you. If you help people solve the problem, they will love working with you and they become your followers. And this is something, in the end, you got to be helpful, you got to be a service to them that matters. And only if you can live up to that role, to the extent that, it's not that you should be solving everything, like the development teams, they're the experts in their field, but you can help them make their life easier and find the solutions for them to achieve their goals. And then they become your friends, and then you really start creating impact and value for the company. Number three, of course, you've got to be part of the corporate. And I do not believe that you should try to separate yourself or put these kind of initiatives into totally independent structures. Because then you're just alien to the people you want to work with and the alien to the people you want to help. And as you're being part of the corporate, you should try, or still try, not to act like it, which means, as I was referring to the simplified processes, try to make life easier, try to create a framework for yourself where you can actually help people to move faster and explore things, help solutions, and then to onboard them. And this helps greatly then to bridge the gap between the early adoption and the early exploration and the long-term adoption of the solution. And then, last but not least, number four, it's certainly about the value creation. If you do all the three things that, rule 1, 2, 3, they will help you to create value, but you also got to prove it. If you run an initiative which is concerned about working with startups, you got to prove that you're actually living up to the promise of delivering impact. The impact, it would be nice if you can always put it into hard figures, and you should try to do so. But there are also many softer criteria, speeding up innovation cycles, or how many other, you can think in opportunity costs or things like that. Whatever matters to your company, customer satisfaction might be another criteria. They are kind of like the KPI you need to strive for and will ultimately help you to sustain your initiative, make it better, and create true value for the whole organization. That's pretty much it. Just switching back to the regular view. I guess I'm still in time, and I hope you enjoyed the session. If there are any questions that are coming up on BSH Startup Kitchen, if you're corporate, you would like to exchange your ideas, your views, you see synergies in what you're doing. Many of the topics we're looking to, like they're cross-industry. Please feel free to reach out to us. If you're a startup and you think you have a great solution which fits to our needs, which could be like in a process or like in a product innovation, always feel free to reach out to us. We're your partner to bring you or like onboard you into BSH and create business on a long-term perspective. Reach out to us on our website, www.bshstartupkitchen.com, or you can find my contact here, the contact list. And I would be super happy to hear from you and hope you enjoyed the talk, and see you soon.